Time to eat delicious cake, and it's interrupted by a moralizing impulse. Inevitably, there's always someone at the party who has to declare publicly that their slice is too large. And
veggie sons of bitches killed my friend!
Welcome back to Wish for Death Island, and welcome to diabetes. Fat activism is one of those things everyone has seen in some capacity online. The name really gives you the idea if you don't, but you don't get the real picture at first. It just sounds like people trying to be comfortable with being a bit chubby, or being okay with acknowledging that they're fat so they can be in a better headspace about life and feel more confident about losing weight and becoming healthier. It should be about not being downright horrible to fat people in daily life and just being a respectable human, right? I mean, I know I've seen videos of people making fun of fat people at the gym, and I absolutely hate that attitude. They're already doing the thing that they're supposed to be doing. They're improving. They're trying to not be fat. So why are they being made fun of for actually trying? How can someone improve at all if they're being told to not do anything in any space? Surely fat acceptance is about this, right? Unfortunately, it is not.
Just because I'm fat, that doesn't invalidate the things that I say.
she died.
We've all seen this Blair White clip by now. It's a list of all the fat activists who have died, and the number is quite alarming. People have been posting this as a meme, but the original is not intended to be funny. It is actually intended to show the gravity of the situation when you join a cult-like group like the fat acceptance movement. This is what happens when someone promotes a lifestyle of high calories, low movement, high cholesterol, anti-doctor sentiment, and anti-wellness content. The body count they brag about in videos is not the one that they actually get. As you can tell from the title, they're facing down the barrel of death.
Let's take a step back and view what's happening through a critical feminist lens.
I'm kind of retarded.
Now, I'm talking about broad topics like this, and I've sat for a while trying to think about ways that I could start, but the only thing that I can really do is to pick out activists and start talking about what they did and why they're ending up where they are and stuff like this. Now, let me be absolutely clear. I am not going to use memes and whatnot in a way to make fun of the people who have died. Absolutely not. It's not me trying to disrespect the individuals who have passed away, and actually, a lot of the ones who have passed away were trying to improve themselves. They got out of that mentality. They were trying to eat healthy, and I'm incredibly sad that they passed away because they should have been able to have that healthy life. They deserved to have that healthy life because they were saying that they made a mistake, and they were putting in the effort to change that, which takes a lot of strength to do. And those people are some of the people that deserve to have that happiness the most because they were working for it. So it devastates me, and I don't want to make fun of those people. I want them to be remembered as people who are trying to make a change, and that is a positive thing because it doesn't matter who you are, you can still do good things for yourself, and that's what they were trying to do. And unfortunately it didn't work out, but it really should have because they deserved it to work out. What I'm doing is taking a look at the consequences of the things that happen here and mocking the ideology. I'm looking at, people who are very much alive and mocking the things that they say. I'm not going to try and make personal attacks at the people who died. Absolutely not. Because in a way it's very strange because the people who are in a lot of these types of movements act like making fun of people dying and doing all these sort of weird things is perfectly fine, but making fun of the ideology is somehow like against any sort of proper order on earth, and it should be the other way around, but I guess that's what happens when things get inverted.
I'm kind of retarded.
Before we begin proper, I just wanted to say that my commissions are finally back. You can see them on my shop, and I'll be adding new free digital files whenever I make them. I am also working on my own fitness that I'll mention more in this video, and I have a video on my shop channel if you like that sort of thing. This is actually what spurred this video because when I was looking up healthy recipes and healthy alternative snacks and all that kind of stuff, I was always finding things in my recommendation on any website where some fat person is talking about how diets are bad and how I can't do that because it's like patriarchal or whatever, when I'm just trying to look at how I can bake something that tastes really good but is also healthy. And you know what? I'm finding those and I'm really enjoying them, so I don't really know what the fucking problem is.
critical feminist lens.
Anyways, we're starting off with a very much alive person who I very much dislike, by the name of Tubb. This is one of the most prominent people on Instagram and the sphere of fat influencers who talk about how fat is not linked to health issues whatsoever, and fat people are usually even more active than thin people because of something about genetics. Right, just take a quick look at some of her statements on social media posts to understand the true genius at hand. If you take a look at her, I guess she follows her own advice. This post claims that diet culture is responsible for 1 in 4 people ending up with eating disorders and claims that it has a 99% failure rate. Diet culture. Let's talk about that for a second. This is one of those weasel terms that these people use. When you think about unhealthy diets, you think about the entertainment industry promoting starving yourself or working out way too hard without breaks or doing drugs to become some sort of skeleton figure. In fact, there are some posts that she makes that I agree with. For example, Ozempic should not be used as a weight loss miracle drug. It's an important thing for people with diabetes, and they're actually suffering because there are way too many people asking for it for some sort of stupid diet thing. And I also think that people shouldn't be taking it because if you just take something that instantly gets rid of your weight loss, you're not learning any habits to stick to it. You're not learning about healthy eating and eating in different portions and exercising and a routine. You're not doing any of the work, so you're just going to get fat again, if anything, because you don't really know how to manage the things that you have. However, this is where my agreement with Virgie ends. Because any normal diet will teach you that eating low-calorie foods that are high in good nutrients means that you can just fill your plate with this really good portion of food. You can be full and satisfied and make absolutely delicious snacks that are also good for you. Pairing this with a good schedule and a good movement can really have some positive changes, including a huge impact on your mental health that'll give you more energy and motivation to keep going. And you don't need to just jump into it immediately. There are a lot of things that I need to work on regarding my core, so I've been doing that in the mornings and then I've been doing cardio in the evenings, and it's really helping because I'm working up to doing more things. But I'm recognizing what I can and can't do and working on how to improve those and taking my time with it because it's important. These changes that you make are long term. Now, I will say that I have never been obese and I am currently not obese. What I have currently is like a skinny fat situation that I'm just trying to tone down because I don't like it and I'm doing it for my own wellness. So I can't act like I've been there before, like I've ever been like 200 pounds or 300 pounds. As, for my stature that would be overweight, and like as if I understand how difficult it is to get down from that level. I haven't. But I am saying that finding a good pace and being healthy and taking your time to make long-term meaningful changes is a universal concept. Whether you're trying to gain or lose weight, whichever side of eating disorder you have on the spectrum, you can still do that main principle with some work and, consulting a professional. It's not going to just magically fail, because making healthy long-term decisions is something that will extend your life. It'll give you your life back, and healthy is just what you as an individual can do to make your body feel happy with all of the nutrients that it needs and make your mind feel happy because you're doing things that are good for you. And those things can be different, but it's still the same principle. There are many fad diets out there that are not healthy, but that's not really the only thing that there is. These people like Virgie act like all of those things are the only thing that exists to do with dieting. Dieting shouldn't be those things, and I agree with that, but there is clearly the tried and true method of just eating healthy and doing exercise, and yeah, that's dieting, but it fucking works. The only reason people try fad diets is because they're too fucking lazy to put in the long-term work. Fat activists, however, will tell you that any sort of restrictions are unhealthy and immediately result in some sort of deep misery and eating disorders that go against your body and you'll fucking die. Because your body is supposed to be obese. Sauce? Trust me, bro. As a wise philosopher once said, too many holes in my motherfucking meal. Virgie Tubb is also known for the cake incident video. This is a video she made where she angrily tells the story of a woman at a birthday party who decided to ask for a smaller slice of cake than the ones provided because she just wanted to be careful about the amount she ate. Seems perfectly normal, a perfectly reasonable request, right? Sometimes people just want to cut down for their own reasons, or maybe she's not really that hungry today, so she wanted a smaller piece. However, Virgie saw this as a slight against everything she stood for, and an effort to make Virgie feel unsafe in this birthday party space. She then decided to turn this into a microaggression and make a video about it.
And then it comes time to cut the cake, and someone decides to ruin everything.
Oh my God, that slice is huge. That slice is bigger than Beyonce's paycheck. Can you cut me half of that?
A cake-related fatphobic incident, or CRFI, is that moment when it's time to eat delicious cake and it's interrupted by a moralizing impulse. Inevitably, there's always someone at the party.
Someone not wanting to eat because of what their own body tells them at that particular moment in time is now a microaggression and a pro-patriarchy move against the obese minority. If you don't feel hungry right now, yes, you, right now, if you don't feel hungry, that's actually offensive to fat people, and you need to eat because fat people are marginalized because you're not hungry right now. Go and get the fucking cookies right now, motherfucker. I genuinely don't know how to emphasize how fucking stupid this is. Also, for someone whose entire presence, and I'm not just talking about Virgie, I'm talking about all these motherfuckers, is their entire presence is about being totally confident and secure as an obese woman. Not only that, but saying that obesity is a good thing that is healthy for you. As someone who is apparently 100% certain of these as facts, Virgie seems to get really offended at random people doing things that have nothing to do with her.
Women are disproportionately negatively affected by diet culture because diet culture maps onto sexism. Practice just taking the cake slice you're given, or simply saying no thanks. Don't make other people be your cake nanny, because women already have too much on their plate.
But the people are retarded.
How are you supposed to be a confident activist in your own body as some sort of like chunk savior, but someone deciding that the size of cake slice they want for themselves should be smaller? That sends you into an existential tailspin that makes you feel unsafe near that unrelated person making their own decisions. The mind boggles. Oh, and when she said that all food is good food, that's actually not true because vegetables are bad food. See the citation of this toddler-style tantrum video her and her friends made about it. No, it's not a parody. She genuinely has this toddler-style mentality towards vegetables. So, all food is good food, we all know our own bodies best, yet at the same time, healthy food is bad food, and she knows our bodies better than we do, because, patriarchy or something. Most of the people that I end up watching when I look up healthy recipes and snack alternatives really put on an emphasis of you making the food taste good so you actually want to eat it. Because eating healthy long term is better for you if you actually enjoy it and look forward to it as a lifestyle choice. I've found healthy snacks that I actually prefer over the real thing. For example, I've been eating these dates and peanut butter mixes with dark chocolate over them instead of Snickers because I like the dark chocolate Snickers combo way better than the real chocolate bar, and the sweetness is more subtle and just feels better. I really like it. And you can make wraps with Greek yogurt and cut down on the flour and use different types of flour, and they end up being way healthier for you, and they just taste really good. There are changes that I'm really glad that I found, because even if I wasn't trying to seriously get healthy, I would still be eating these things because they're really good. I don't want to eat the cake, Virgie, and you can't do anything about it because it's my choice.
He crumbles like a fucking crouton.
She also makes this statement that health is basically, well, real health is about just eating what you want to. It's the intuitive eating or the healthy at every size movement that essentially says that your body will naturally tell you what it wants, and if you don't give it what it wants, it's going to be bad for you because it's unhealthy. So if you're used to eating like 7 chocolate donuts a day and your body got used to it and your body's like, hey, give me those chocolate donuts, you restricting yourself because you want to cut down on sugar is actually being horrible to yourself because you nutritionally need those 7 donuts for some fucking reason. It's just so strange to see someone say that having control in your eating and your emotions and your diet like a normal adult should is actually some sort of unhealthy, horrible torture on you as a human, and you shouldn't do it because you're killing yourself. Whereas indulging yourself to the point where you can eat an entire cake in a day and not move at all for the entire week is totally fine because it's good to be comfortable. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some horrible weight loss type of things that just come across as incredibly abusive and misinformed. There are some horrible shows from the past, like I Used to Be Fat on MTV. There are a bunch of video breakdowns that I've seen of that show, and everything looks like the most abusive, horrible form of coach that seems to psychologically break down all of these people instead of building them up and giving them the proper tools. I don't see that type of thing helping anyone, especially the people who have emotional issues where their eating disorder stems from some sort of trauma that they've been through. Yeah, you can't use that as an excuse, but the whole point of that is to get over that trauma through healthy means and taking your time with it, while using being healthy and taking care of yourself as a way to improve and defeat the trauma that you have. Yet the people who are on these types of shows are giving those people way more trauma because of the horrible way that they're acting. There were also channels that I found that I deeply disagree with, like Zoe Unlimited, I think her name is, who constantly posts these very weird and dangerous body checking videos where she looks incredibly skinny to the point where it's alarming, and she constantly makes it sound like you can eat whatever you want as long as you're blessed with a metabolism like hers where she's just naturally skinny, whereas in the same breath she posts videos to do with doing these crazy exercises that she claims target specific points in your body to make you lose weight at a very fast rate, which is not even possible to do. There are a lot of those people in the world, a lot of people who are influencers who have this strange miracle immune system and metabolism that only a minority of the population really would have, where they can somehow eat everything that they want to and not gain any weight when they're not even putting an effort to do exercise. When we all know that's bullshit. Behind closed doors, when they stop recording, they're definitely doing stuff to maintain their figure, which in Zoe's case is really not good because she looks dangerously underweight. And there's always going to be some weird person telling you that you should do like a water fast for weeks and like make yourself shit out your organs to try and lose weight fast. That's obviously stupid and it's gonna kill you. So I understand where that comes from. But again, as with everything that I talk about on this fucking channel, there are two groups of people and on the extremes, and they're both retards, and in the middle is the better option. It's also incredibly hard to get out of this mindset when you try to leave the cult and, let's say, lose weight, like a lot of people in the fat acceptance community have decided to lose weight and get rid of this kind of thing. They are completely lambasted and harassed by these people who rely on the famous person or the Tess Holidays of the world and the Virgie Tovas of the world to give them this reassurance. Because when you're an addict, surely there's this nagging thing at the back of your brain telling you that what you're doing is wrong. Your body is kind of crying out, and at the back of your mind you can psychologically feel it as it's breaking you down over time. And you need some sort of validation from someone, from some sort of authority figure that allows the delusion to continue. And these people will see the people that they looked up to starting to lose weight and suddenly realizing that it's a bad thing that they've gotten themselves into this position, and the illusion will break. The illusion can't break. That's terrifying. It's going to be so many negative emotions that you have to actually do the hard work to sort through. It's going to be such a huge journey ahead. Wouldn't it be easier to just pull the wool back over your eyes? But how are you supposed to do that? Authority figure has completely changed their opinions. You need to find another one. But what if that other one doesn't work for you in the same way? The illusion will never work in the same way if you don't manage to get back to the status quo. So you see all of these people making these videos saying quite horrible things about people who are trying to lose weight, saying that if you're losing weight, you shouldn't be proud of your journey, you shouldn't be posting about your transformation, you should be hiding yourself in shame because of how it makes the person that's fucking 1,000,000 pounds and eats 17 cakes a day hurt their feelings. An example of this is someone named Fat Doctor UK. This is a person that says that fat literally does not exist, despite the fact that you can see it with your own eyes in autopsy videos and videos about dieting. Use your eyeballs.
That obesity is not a medical condition. It's a social construct.
Diet and wellness industry has created a number of quote-unquote conditions that are supposedly caused by being fat. And then they have produced the tools to fix it.
Oh my god, enough with the fat around the organs. That is not a real thing. It is made up. Weight loss is going to benefit your health in any way.
because there's no evidence to support that. I would like to point out once again that there are no academic articles that prove that being fat is bad for your health. In the case of obesity, it is weight cycling, weight stigma, and inequalities in healthcare. Without adjusting for these factors, the data is useless.
The weird thing about this person is that if you go back to the start of her social media presence, she wanted to become a weight loss doctor and seemed very passionate about nutrition.
I am on a mission to lose 40 kilograms in the next year. I believe in weight loss the hard way. I don't think it's meant to be easy because I don't think anything worth doing ever is.
I decided that I was going to keep a permanent record of my amazing weight loss journey by blogging about it. I had grandiose dreams of becoming a world-famous weight loss doctor. My first blog post was entitled, Weight Loss the Hard Way.
However, she seemed to have somehow fallen into the cult and legitimately uses her position as a doctor as a point of authority to lie to people and say that fat is actually good for you, despite the fact that apparently it doesn't exist, and you won't die from being obese, that there is no sort of health complication, cardio complications, risks of diseases, or anything of the sort with being fat. She's even been on the news in the UK to say these types of things with her whole chest. She really believes them. And don't get me wrong, you won't really see any major institutions pointing out how terrible this is, because a lot of the times the corporations that pay these institutions have a vested interest in keeping people fat. Being sick is one of the best ways that you can control the population. You can make them spend more money on frivolous things that they don't really need, things that are slowly killing them, that have a lot of sugar and very high cholesterol, because you're making money off of them and you're giving them a food addiction that's a dependence on these things, which means that you get a basically steady stream of money for as long as the population is alive to do so. The food pyramid itself has already been under fire so many times because it's bullshit. It's complete bullshit. It's been proven so many times, and you can clearly see that corporations who make the food that are at the top of the pyramid have paid for all of these studies and spread this thing around as if it has any actual science to back it up. A lot of the influencers that I've mentioned already will give you these foods as a marketing tactic. They will show you all of these chocolates and these platters and all of these restaurants that they go to and act like it's not making them fat, and then not show you behind the scenes when they're working their ass off every single day to try and maintain their figure. The companies that sponsor them want you to think that their food has some sort of nutritional value. How many times have you seen some sort of breakfast cereal being shown as being so healthy for you, but when you read the back of the box it actually looks pretty bad because it has more sugar than the chocolate that you're eating? It's a pretty big problem, and I can definitely understand why fat activists seem to fall for this sort of lie. It seems like the kind of thing where if you're not being very careful, you're gonna fall into it, and if people are there to emotionally manipulate you, you won't want to leave. However, again, it's not an excuse. At the end of the day, we all have to be difficult with ourselves to a certain degree so that we can do what's best for us. I could continue on just being the kind of slouchy person that I was, or I could work really hard like I am to try and get rid of it. I've stuck to it since the start of January. I know it's a cliche with the whole New Year's resolution thing, but I am doing it every single day, and it is helping. Doing it even this long has helped. It doesn't seem that long in like weight loss goals and fitness goal things, because those usually go on for months, but even sticking with it with a short amount of time really helps. Some of the fat activists that have died are people like Kat Paws, who denied science until she died. She had a radio show dedicated to fat propaganda and self-harm, and I am sure that she really didn't mean to hurt people, but I have to say, it's genuinely mind-boggling the amount of damage that she could have done telling people that it's okay to continue with their morbidly obese size, because if they're still listening to it, they are going to die like she did. It's disgusting and horrifying, but it's just the truth. I don't want to insult her as a person because, like I said, I don't know her. I don't want to deal a low blow and insult someone after they've passed away. It's just reality to point out the fact.
I ruined my life with food, binge eating, and lack of self-care. And I'm hoping that it's not too late for me this time. I ain't been to the store in 2 years, maybe more now, I guess. I went to the post office once and that was hard. I went to urgent care and I thought my legs were gonna give out from under me.
Someone like the person who recorded the TikTok that I played for you that you've seen 100 times before, she was trying so hard to change her life around. She deserved to live because she deserved to work on herself. She deserved to have that happy life because she was trying her best, and it is such a tragedy that she tried to change herself around and she didn't get the chance. Another example of that is someone by the name of Jamie Lopez. She had lost 400 pounds and she was so close to turning her life around. She was very well known as someone who had this reality TV show where all of her employees in her beautician business were fat. So it was in her best interest to stay fat in a fame sort of way, but she knew that it was in her best interest as a human being to become healthy and to move around and to be mobile. She was so close to being mobile for the first time in such a long time, and 400 pounds is an incredible amount of weight to lose. She didn't deserve to die. She was putting in so much effort into herself. She deserved to reap those rewards. She looked like, even when she was at her fattest in the fat acceptance movement, the clips that I've seen of her, she looks like a genuinely amazing person. She looks like a very nice person. She didn't deserve that. But the fat acceptance movement's ideology sucked her into it to the point where that's what she got when she really didn't deserve it. The people who die in this movement don't deserve it. They don't deserve to be so miserable. They deserve to have a happy, healthy life, but they need to listen. And it's so frustrating that no one's listening. It's really getting quite absurd to the point where there's even fat TikTokers and fat activists who claim that there's like wage gaps and stuff like that with the fat gap. I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that if you can't even get up because you are so fat that you don't have mobility anymore, you're not going to be able to do certain jobs. I understand that there is definitely some sort of discrimination, like any type of shape and size of person has encountered someone who has a discrimination thing purely from being an asshole. I'm not trying to claim that that doesn't happen to people, but I know that in order to truly love food and appreciate food, you have to also love yourself, and love yourself by taking care of yourself. Don't do what Virgitova does, because that is self-harm. People who love themselves should not self-harm. The last thing that we're going to do is look at the origins of fat acceptance. The NAAFA is a fat acceptance movement that started because men at the top of the movement, the founders, had a fetish for fat people. In particular, they are feeders, and they wanted obese women to feed because they liked obese physique. The women being fat is for a fetish. But, however, you can take a principle and cleverly disguise it in such a way that it is for your fetish, but people won't notice it. And if they do notice it, you can lambast them by showing them the principle that you're using as a disguise. An example of this is having the reasonable assumption that gay people aren't the devil and it's totally fine and they should be allowed to have relationships and whatnot. However, fetishists will then take things like that and make these pride parades where people will be basically brandishing sex objects and walking around naked out in the streets, and if you say that you don't want to bring your children to such an event, you're suddenly some sort of phobe. There are things like people saying kink and children in the same sentence, which should not be a thing. If you object to pornography in your schools, you're anti-gay, even though all you're doing is saying that there are plenty of books out there that have gay characters in a wholesome setting, and that is perfectly fine for children, because they're just showing them as normal people, which they are. Apparently you're being sexist and homophobic because you don't want the porn books in particular. This is clearly a fetish thing. Fetishists have decided that they want children to see these things, or fetishists have decided that they want to see more horribly obese people out in public doing what they're doing, and want more people to take that road of being obese, and they disguise themselves with these kind of principles where they make it incredibly easy to dodge any sort of accountability or any sort of arguments that go against what they're doing by using those principles and calling somebody some sort of phobe or some sort of ism or whatever. This fat acceptance movement started in the exact same way. The NAAFA is about fetishes. It's a fetish movement. It is about feeders. So the next time someone starts talking about fat activism and how the fat liberation movement needs to start, I mean, firstly, you gotta start doing some sort of movement if you want to establish a movement, right? Get those legs moving. It is something that they have fallen for that was created by someone who's a fetishist. They think that the person who created the movement is trying to help them and trying to do some sort of liberation for who they really are, but in reality, the person who created it is getting off to that person gaining weight because it is literally just sexual degeneracy. Why does it always come back to cooming? Why? It's a real question. Anyways, that's it from me for now. I will be back with something else. I was supposed to talk about Kirby this week in a completely wholesome video, but I didn't because I just decided to talk about this because I kept finding it everywhere when I was trying to look up recipes, and it's a whole thing. But stay healthy, and I'll see you next time.